Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Urban Scope Podcast. This is the Urban Scope Podcast Inside the Scope, where I do an analysis on a movie, a TV show, or just a piece of work. So today I'll be discussing, I discussed The Wire already, why I think The Wire is the best TV show ever. Today I will be discussing why Breaking Bad could be the best TV show ever. I'm not saying it's the best TV show ever, but I'm making an argument for someone who wants to make an argument for why Breaking Bad could be the best TV show ever. The AMC-based TV show that's been a cult classic. It's now on Netflix in its entirety. 5 seasons, 62 episodes of Breaking Bad. 2 more episodes than The Wire had. So I'll get into 10 reasons why I think Breaking Bad, you can make an argument for why it could be the best TV show ever. So first, just the characters, the dynamic characters that they had, that had uniqueness to them. So you had a Gus Fring who owned a chain of chicken restaurants or restaurants, but he was also a distributor of illegal products. You had Walter White, who was a science teacher turned into a manufacturer of these products. You had Jesse, who was a student, who was a failing student in his class, who was a co-conspirator or a co-distributor manufacturer of these products. And then you had the Salamanca brothers, who was Tuco's brother from the first season, who was trying to avenge Tuco's death and find the culprit. And then you had Hank, who was ironically Walter White's brother-in-law, who worked for the DEA. And then you had Tuco, who was just a crazy distributor from season 1 that was killed or unalived, I should say. So that's the first reason. They're characters that are dynamic characters that they brought together that were unique and likable and not likable at times, certain people. So, and then secondly, the storyline. A teacher who became partners with a student after the fact, after that student graduated, who got into an illegal business together, who found out about the ins and outs of the business as they went along. Jesse had experience in that business, but Walter didn't. But like I said, his whole motive was just get money because he thought he was dying of cancer, to get money for his family when he died, so they'll be set. So he came from a pure standpoint, but then eventually became greed and just his own selfish reasons why he wanted to continue the business, even though Jesse didn't want to do it anymore. So that storyline was amazing, and all the episodes were, like I said, the writing never got stale. The writing was always exciting and something new, some new twist, and most of the things we hadn't seen before. So that show had good storyline and good writing as well. And then thirdly, for the argument for Breaking Bad, is just the replayability. I can still watch those episodes and come back to them, similar to The Wire. Now, some movies that have suspense, you can't really watch those twice. Like, one of my favorite movies is Gone Girl. I can watch that. I can still watch that movie because the acting was so good, and I'll talk about acting later in this segment. But you can still watch it, and you lose the surprise value, but the acting and the writing was so good that you can still come back to it. And then fourthly, the hidden message. So the ins and out of being in an illegal business, it kind of sent a message saying that, pretty much every story tells this message of, you might have success, you might have good times, but there's going to be a lot of bad times, and we all know how this ends. It never ends where you're on the beach, retired. No, you end up either in jail or worse. So, like I said, a lot of the stuff that was in Breaking Bad had messaging in it, whether it be the colors. I'll talk about that later. Just the subtleties, which I'll get into. But like I said, that message in Breaking Bad was very prevalent because you saw the journey that they went through, and there was a lot of bad times. There was a few good times, but it ultimately ended horrible. So, And then fifth reason for Breaking Bad possibly being one of the best shows ever is simply due to them incorporating different viewpoints. So not only do you get the streets perspective, but you get law enforcement perspective, you get the distributor's perspective, you get the family's perspective, you get to see how people that live this lifestyle, how it affects other people, how it affects the community, cliche enough, how it affects their family members, what they think about it, how they have to protect their family from the situation that they're in. So this story or this show gave you another perspective on that, and gave you, gave the viewer, hey, it's not glamorous. It's not something to be proud of. It's something that is frowned upon, and it's something that you have to fix, and something that you can't live with, and you eventually will come to your demise from this, and you put other people at risk as well. So, and then another reason for Breaking Bad is just the complete. It gave closure. So a lot of stories, like even The Wire, I felt like I still had more closure. I didn't get enough closure. The Breaking Bad gives you closure from the end, and they even did a spin-off movie, El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, on Netflix, that kind of gave you even more closure of the story, seeing what happened to Jesse at the end, kind of seeing how Walter's family, um, how they function after his demise. I would love to know more about the story of Marie Schrader after, she lost her husband, and Walter died and all this different stuff. They could have made another spinoff, which I'll get into later. But just the closure that show brung, I didn't feel like I needed to know more. As a fan, there's things that you would love to know more, but it's nothing that I needed to know. But from a selfish standpoint, there's always things that you could spin off or know more about. And then seventh is the popular culture application of Breaking Bad. It's one of the reasons why it's one of the best shows, because people are wearing the Los Polos Locos t-shirts. Los Polos Locos had like a pop-up shop one time, I believe in California. People raved about it, and just went to, whether the food was good or not, people gravitate towards Breaking Bad. It's a cult classic. So it's always going to be in the top of people's minds, and it's always going to be on streaming platforms because it gets those views and those looks. And it's such a likable show. Like I said, the acting was top notch. And I'll talk about that later as well. And then 8, it created a spinoff. Anytime a show creates a spinoff, that's a great thing, because it shows that it's popular in culture and that people are checking for it, that it can do the numbers. So from Breaking Bad having the spinoff Better Call Saul, which I only watched a couple episodes, it starts off very slow. But if you're a huge fan of Breaking Bad, people rant and rave about Better Call Saul, and they had quite a few seasons. So, like I said, anytime you can have a spinoff is a good thing. But also, compared to The Wire, they didn't really have a spinoff. So, um, just because you don't have a spinoff doesn't make you great. But spinoff shows that you have leverage and you have a lot of fanfare. The Wire didn't get a lot of fanfare while it was still out. It was mostly after the show went off. And then ninth reason why argument for Breaking Bad is because of subtleties. Like the director, well, the creator, Vince Gilligan, talked about how he used the colors of what people were wearing to indicate their mood at the time. And he incorporated colors and names. So it was Jesse Pinkman, and then there was Walter White. So they had a lot of colors. And then I gathered like Marie would always wear purple all the time for a reason. But he used colors to represent a mindset that the person was in. So a lot of times, Walter White would wear khakis, and he would wear these brown shoes, and he would wear this button-up shirt. So I'm not sure what that indicated, but like I said, he created those subtleties in the show that most shows didn't pay attention to the minor detail, but Vince Gilligan definitely paid attention to the minor detail in creating this show. It was just a general work of art, and he really cared about the art with the little subtleties that he created, even with the teddy bear torn up from that plane accident. And then lastly, like I said, the acting in the show was some of the best acting I ever seen. Like I said, I've never been to acting school or never been in theater, but I consider a great acting if it invoked emotion. So the Salamanca brothers, they invoked it uneasiness with me. Like when I saw them, something bad was going to happen, and generally, when you saw them, something bad did happen. Whether it be with Hank or whether it be with a random person on the street, they would do something crazy, and they didn't care about the consequences because they were cold-blooded, cold-blooded killers. So good acting to me is when the person evokes emotion and you generally do not like that person, or you genuinely like that person or feel sorry for that person as if you're watching someone's real life. And that's how I determine good acting. And like I said, Bryan Cranston probably was the best actor in that show to me. I'm a little biased because I liked his Your Honor show, which I have to discuss eventually my top shows. And I believe Your Honor had some of the best writing, even though it only had 2 seasons. It was set up to only have 1 season, but it had so much popularity and so much success from the first season. They did another season. Hopefully, one day they'll do another season. But that was some of the best writing ever. And Bryan Cranston not only had been introduced to him from the Breaking Bad show, but then everything he plays in now, I kind of watch to see what it's about. Because, like I said, some of this stuff I believe he has a hand in writing and creating, and he's a good actor. And Breaking Bad, he got to showcase that in full display. So that's my reasons for why you can make an argument for Breaking Bad. It's one of the best shows ever. I never said it was the best, but I said you can make an argument for why it's one of the best. I believe it's in my top 5 or top 10 shows of all time. So, tell me what, I'll put up a poll. Well, I already pull up a survey about the best shows, but tell me what your best shows and what do you like most about Breaking Bad in the comments. And remember to like and subscribe to the content. And until next time, I'll see you next time.